Welcome back for the best of yesterday's action in European club football. 3 of Rangers' European Cup opponents in action. And to make Andy Roxburgh shake his head in despair, we show Eric Black and Mo Johnson scoring great goals in France last night. First, though, here's how that Hearts match leaves the league table, with Rangers stealing up all the time. No wonder Sandy Jardine says that whoever ends up in front of Rangers will win the league. Well, it's been a good week for Rangers, into European Cup's last 8, and here's who they might meet in next month's draw. Not an easy touch in sight amongst that list, which looks like a roll call of Europe's great clubs. And we can look at 2 of the strongest possible opponents Rangers could face, with both of them in league action yesterday. Bayern Munich had Mark Hughes making his debut, and a successful one at that, against Bayer Erdogan. Hughes scored the first of 3 Munich goals, Matas and Wegman the others. That was his, and then he sidestepped an interview.
Quickly, I have to go quick to catch a plane back to Wales for the international match. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Another of Rangers' possible opponents later, but how good are Rangers? One man who ought to know better than anyone is Dave McPherson, who played at Ibrox until his £350,000 transfer to Hearts. Jock Brown's been speaking to him about Rangers' chances.
Well, I personally I think he could go the way. They've bought quality players: Richard Gough, Chris Hughes, John McGregor, well, a few other players. I think he could go the way this year.
And you don't have any sort of regrets that you're not involved in that aspect of the run through?
Well, sometimes when you look, I've been to see them at Ibrox quite a few times, and you think, I mean, I should have been there, I should have been playing, but at the end of the day, I'm quite glad to be at Hearts.
Now, when they go forward, Rangers, to the quarter-final of the European Cup, and they do well, I take it you'll be looking for Hearts to be well above them in the league table in that time.
Oh, about 8 to 10 points ahead will do me fine.
Who can blame them? Well, from club to country, and Scotland play Bulgaria in Sofia on Wednesday, a match you'll be able to see live on Scottish television on Wednesday. The kick-off's at 3:30. That gives you plenty of time to arrange Granny's funeral. The bad news: Richard Gough, Jim Bett, Ian Durrant and Ali McCoist all out. So too reserve goalkeeper Brian Gunn. In come Gary Mackay and Craig Levine of Hearts, John Collins of Hibs and Bobby Geddes, the Dundee keeper. This is a situation Scotland are playing for their pride and for their future. Bulgaria need a draw to qualify for the finals, but if Scots do win, the Republic of Ireland go through. And all the time the next World Cup looms up. The draw is next month. Before he even named his squad, Andy Roxburgh knew that he was to be without both Eric Black and Mo Johnson, the French legionnaires needed by their clubs. And to make matters worse, they're both in fine form.
For the present.
Peter Weir. There's McLeish. The header from Joe Miller, and Aberdeen are in front. Connor. Stark has Robertson on the outside. Dodds waiting in the middle with Joe Miller. Good play from young Robertson. And the fine cross! Brilliantly scored by Joe Miller. And the handspring to celebrate. Joe Miller missed one golden chance early on, then missed a penalty kick, but made no mistake with the header to put Aberdeen back on level terms. Yes, Hewitt ahead of him. Far post ball, it finds its way to Joe Miller, a chance for the equaliser. Yes! Joe Miller has done it for Aberdeen!
the skills of Joe Miller. Meanwhile, Aberdeen will doubtless plunge into the transfer market themselves, and though manager Ian Porterfield is known to be an admirer of Rangers' Robert Fleck, it's highly unlikely the Ibrox club would sell him to the Dons. Porterfield spoke earlier about the sale of Miller to Celtic. For Celtic,
it's very significant. He's not much of a gymnast, as we saw there when he scored that goal, but he's a superb young player. 19 years of age, as you said, excuse me, and Celtic could have a decade or more out of him now.
It's been a well-kept secret because I understand Celtic have been negotiating with Aberdeen all week.
That's right, and I think Billy McNeill deserves a lot of praise here because he's conducted this transfer the way transfers should be conducted. He's got it all signed and sealed and then delivered the player. And I hope Celtic get an early reward for this tomorrow by a big turnout from their fans. No one has been more critical of Celtic over the past few years than I have. They've done a lot of things wrong, but they're now starting to do a lot of things right. You said significant. It is very much so because they've bought this player while they're near the top and challenging for the league. In the past, they've waited till they've been in difficulties before making big signings. This time, they've done it the right way.
All right, Porterfield is known to be a fan of Rangers' Robert Fleck, and it's known that he's maybe on his way from Ibrox. Do you think that would happen? I would doubt if Rangers would sell him.
I don't think they'll sell to Aberdeen, but it surprises me that a player wants to leave a team who are in the quarterfinals of the European Cup and get so much going for them. Obviously, I think Fleck does have some personal problems and he wants to get away from Scotland. But I think Rangers should hold on to him until they have the replacement. And I know Graham Souness is actively looking for a player at the moment in that department.
That is a simple fact of the matter, isn't it? Because I believe Rangers had another player lined up and that would have meant they could release Fleck. That fell down, so he's had to stay, and they'll sell him when it suits them.
That's right, and Ian Porterfield's also been making inquiries about Charlie Nicholas, apparently. But good news for Aberdeen is that Davy Dodds is coming back, and when they were playing so well at the beginning of the season, he was playing well for them. He's back from injury now.
They'll need Dodds tomorrow, I would think, Jerry. A look at the fixture card shows that they're playing top of the table Hearts
as well, so it's a hard day for Hearts moving up there, but they are playing well, aren't they?
And we can see from that too, Jerry, if Miller makes his debut for Celtic, he'll go in against Dundee.
Yes, well, Dundee are a sticky team to play against. They cause the Old Firm all kinds of problems. As I say, I hope the Celtic fans turn out in huge numbers tomorrow to welcome the new player, and I think Celtic have done magnificently here. As I said, this is the time to make signings when they're challenging for the championship. It is their centenary season. It's a bit special. And Billy McNeill will have enjoyed putting one over on Fergie, his old rival, and Kenny Dalglish, whom he used to play with.
Interesting times. Jerry, thanks. And
of tomorrow's top football and a glimpse of the form that's taken Stephen Hendry to the top of snooker's lucrative tree, here's Bill McFarlane.
Indeed, Celtic have set a new record transfer deal between Scottish clubs by paying Aberdeen £650,000 for their striker Joe Miller. While 19-year-old Miller's request to leave Pittodrie was lodged some months ago, he appeared likely to join Liverpool or Manchester United. A capacity crowd will watch the Scottish Cup holders against the champions. But the result from Pittodrie will be of greatest interest in the title race. Last season, Hearts showed their fighting qualities against Aberdeen.
Making win in Bulgaria, and club skipper Willie Miller, left out of that Scotland squad, says morale is still high despite a European exit and a Skol Cup final defeat.
Most of the results that went against us have been very, very narrow. I felt as though we didn't carry, or we haven't carried the luck over the last few games. We haven't been scoring too many goals, that's a problem. But the lads are still confident and looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Another player eagerly awaiting tomorrow's match at Pittodrie is the hero of Wednesday's win in Bulgaria, Gary Mackay of Hearts.
It was 7 years ago that the goal-scoring hero of Wednesday, Gary Mackay, joined a Hearts side about to be relegated. Now his team lead the table and is enjoying international adulation too. But if only because he realised the dream couldn't last all season, Mackay thought Pittodrie tomorrow was a perfect way of coming down to earth.
We were saying to Alec McLeish after the game, 2 or 3 minutes into the game, I get a wee kick for him and then we'll be back to reality again, you know.
Do you expect any tougher marking than usual from them?
I wouldn't think so. Aberdeen are always a quality side. And
wins under their belt, would you like to think that they could take on a more attacking style to suit your particular talents?
Well, I think the way Mr Roxburgh's got the side set out, there's a lot of players with flair and that in the team, and it'll just be a case of trying to get a settled unit and keep working and improving on the things that they've already laid the foundations for.
Rangers go to Love Street tomorrow with their unsettled striker Robert Fleck still included in their plans. His failure to guarantee a first-team place at Ibrox has led to interest from Watford and Norwich. But Graham Souness is determined not to release Fleck without finding a suitable replacement. Norwich said this afternoon that they expect no movement before the middle of next week. Now snooker and...
Welcome to Scott Sport. It's the sort of early winter day when you wouldn't put the dog out. So for the next 90 minutes, curl up in front of the fire for sport which should suit everyone's taste. If you're football daft, and most of us are, then we have the sort of double bill... Slow-mo there. A strange decision at the end.
Well, I was convinced at the time, as I said in commentary, that the ball hit Roberts' head. He certainly had the right arm up, but there's no doubt in my mind it hit his head. And because of that, I paid no attention to where the incident happened.
Right.
But now seeing it there, there's no question.
Well, let's
at all.
have just
Wasn't
another
a
look
penalty.
at it, and we can see it again.
Well, you can see the 18-yard line there's 2 or 3 yards off as that happens. And Roberts, with the right arm up, makes it look as though he may have committed handball. But at the time, and I still remain convinced, the ball hit his head.
Well, these things happen. I mean, there's a good sense of justice because a draw was totally fair there yesterday, wasn't it?
No question about that at all. Although, in fairness, at the time in question, St Mirren looked as though they were becoming a little bit frustrated, and that really brought them right back to life.
What do you make of Ian Ferguson? He's a tremendous young player. Might be going to Rangers, certainly once away from St Mirren.
Well, that's a great pity for St Mirren, obviously, because with guys like Cameron and Lambert and Brian Hamilton, they've got an abundance of young talent. But Ferguson really looks to be one for the future because he can play midfield, he can play up front. He even started his career at Clyde at right back, would you believe? So really he has all the talents.
Yeah, I was surprised yesterday. Whenever I've seen him before, he'd been a little bit further forward, but I thought what a control he had from the middle of the midfield.
Well, that's right. He showed that he could tackle, he could win possession, and he could also pass the ball from there. And he's got such energy and stamina, he can support so well from there.
That's right. The show... if you think you add Gary Mackay to that list, there's a tremendous lot of young players hanging about.
Good news for Andy Roxburgh.
Good, thanks, Jock. So the show goes on, and the man who is feeling the strain at the moment is Aberdeen boss Ian Porterfield. He's just sold Miller, and have a look at Aberdeen's last 4 results. Not a single goal there for the Dons, despite the return of Davy Dodds yesterday, who scored 6 in 6 games at the start of the season before his injury. So what's Porterfield going to do? Week matches his Tuesday's card, the big game at Ibrox, while Celtic will be looking for goals from that 1.7 million striking force at Motherwell. On Wednesday, Hearts will be wanting a point as they come to the end of a really tough section before those games. Interesting, isn't it, that we're talking of an Aberdeen crisis while they still have the same number of points as Rangers, who remain favourites to take the title. Well, let's not be too parochial, though. The European Cup draw comes up next month, and we continue to keep our eye on Rangers' possible opponents. Last week, we saw Real Madrid get a 4-goal drubbing in the Bernabeu. This week, it's the turn of Bayern Munich to go down by 3 in Stuttgart yesterday. Hit, first of all, by a goal which is already being acclaimed in this morning's German papers as the goal of the season.
Butcher will be out of action for 3 months after breaking his leg during the match against Aberdeen last night at Ibrox. Rangers player boss Graham Souness hopes to have Butcher back for the club's European Cup third-round matches in March. Meanwhile, Celtic have drawn level with Hearts at the top of the Premier League, but the Tynecastle side could go clear again following their match tonight. The details from Jim White.
Rangers captain Terry Butcher and Aberdeen's Alec McLeish collided as early as the 6th minute of last night's match at Ibrox. It was an accidental collision but resulted in Butcher breaking his left leg. He was helped from the pitch by Rangers physio Phil Boersma. Rangers captain Terry Butcher was taken to the private Ross Hall Hospital in Crookston when it was discovered he'd suffered a leg break. He was visited earlier today by the club chairman David Holmes and by player-manager Graham Souness. Souness recalls the incident.
Obviously I was in the stand, I didn't see it too clearly, but Terry said this morning it was a complete accident. He doesn't blame anybody for it. It's one of those things that happens in football. He's been in football long enough. It was an accident.
How bad is the break, Graham? He's going to be out for 3 months.
Mr. Scott, the surgeon, he says it's clean enough, so hopefully Terry will be back for our next European Cup game, which is in March, and hopefully before that.
As far as your league aspirations are concerned, though, it's very disappointing.
It's a blow to us, Jim, but at the end of the day, well, Terry last year was possibly our most influential player. And this is something we'll have to get on with. I believe that luck evens itself out over a season, but to say we've had a traumatic month would be an understatement. We're looking to put all these things behind us and get on with it.
That hurts me because I treat them all like my boys, you know, and we are a family. And nobody likes to see any of the family getting hurt, but in professional football, accidents happen. It's an accident when you've got a melee of players in there, but I mean, Terry knows that. And he'll come back. He'll come back.
Do you think the club's aspirations for the Premier League Championship for a second year running are damaged largely by this?
Nobody writes off Rangers. Let's put it that way.
Rangers defender Graham Roberts arrived later at the hospital with cards for the Rangers captain from well-wishers. Meanwhile, the first match Butcher will miss will be Rangers' glamour friendly against Monaco in Monaco tomorrow. And I can tell you, Butcher was discharged from hospital tonight and his condition was described as satisfactory. Now, as if the news about Butcher wasn't bad enough, Rangers fans saw their side crash 1-0 to the Dons, and now the Ibrox men are 6 points off the pace.
And Rangers captain Terry Butcher will be out of the game for at least 3 months after breaking his leg in last night's league match against Aberdeen at Ibrox. Player-manager Graham Souness says his hope is that the England international will be fit to play in the European Cup quarter-finals in March.
The match was only 7 minutes old when Terry Butcher went down during an attack on the Aberdeen goal. He appeared to reach the ball, but his left shin collided with Alex McLeish's leg in the process. The Ibrox players realised immediately their captain was badly hurt, and within minutes Graham Souness was aware of the consequences of what had happened. This morning, after visiting Butcher in hospital, the player-manager was philosophical.
Obviously he's very upset, but it was an accident. He doesn't blame anybody. He's been in football long enough to realise that these things happen, and really his only aim now is to get himself ready as quickly as possible.
What's the degree of injury?
Well, he's fractured his tibia, which is his shin. The specialist feels that it'll knit itself without any surgery. So we're hopefully be ready for Europe, if not before. Our next round in Europe is March time, so hopefully he'll be back before then.
He's obviously very crucial to your plans. What kind of blows into the championship?
Terry, last year was possibly our most influential player, so we will miss him greatly this year, but you can talk about luck in football. I believe that luck evens itself out over a season. Hopefully it will for us. We've had a fairly traumatic period in the last few months, or even the last few weeks, and hopefully we can put them behind us and we can go on and get our game together and improve our league position.
Of course, after losing Terry, you went on to lose at Ibrox for the first time in a year last night. How does that dent your hopes for the championship?
Well, 2 points was immaterial last night. I mean, we'd like to have won, great, but losing Terry was more important, and that was sad. But we'll come back again. I mean, nobody will write off Rangers.
News of Butcher's leg break was met with dismay by England manager Bobby Robson, who admits the Rangers captain's crucial to his hopes for the European Championship next year.
Back 24 hours to the drama at Ibrox, where Rangers entertained Aberdeen in a league match watched by over 41,000 fans. Well, no one really expected a repeat of that 6-goal Skull Cup final thriller, but it was, for all that, a match which certainly wasn't short an incident, the first of which after just a few minutes' play when Chris Woods had to look very lively to make that fine save from Tom Jones. And then, with just 6 minutes gone, came the incident which no one likes to see on a football pitch. Davy Cooper's cross, Terry Butcher in to knock the ball over the bar, but the clash with Alex McLeish, which everyone realised immediately was serious, leading to the Rangers captain's broken leg. There it is again, fairly innocuous, but Butcher meeting with the shin of Alex McLeish, and the expression there on Graham Souness's face down at the dugout tells the story. A fractured tibia and Butcher out for something like 3 or 4 months. Stuart Monroe came on in his place and Rangers continued to press. Durant clean through there and Jim Leighton getting down to make the first of a series of marvellous saves to keep Aberdeen in the match. And then the only goal after 31 minutes, the free kick on the left, and just watch who is there to nod the ball into the net. Willie Miller. He doesn't score many, but when he does, they're good ones and they're valuable ones. That really was a textbook example of how to put away a header, low and accurate. Rangers back though, the header, and again Leighton down very quickly indeed, and happy to see that one finally rebounding over the Aberdeen bar. McCoist again, the cross, and this time it's Robert Fleck who turns well, but Leighton once again is there to turn it away. Peter Nicholas too, sadly, was involved in a nasty-looking injury, a clash with Ali McCoist, and although it looked bad, Ian Porterfield reckons Nicholas will be back within a couple of weeks. Ali McCoist this time only 8 yards out, and again that man Leighton is down, proving why he is Scotland's #1. And then near the end, Aberdeen very nearly made it to this free kick from Jim Bett, and the header just drifting beyond Chris Wood's left-hand post. Well, after the match, Graham Souness was clearly choked by the injury to his captain. This morning, though, after visiting Butcher in hospital, he was still shaken, but a little more philosophical.
It was an accident. He doesn't blame anybody. He's been in football long enough to realise that these things happen, and really his only aim now is to get himself ready as quickly as possible.
What's the degree of injury?
Well, he's fractured his tibia, which is his shin. The specialist feels that it'll knit itself without any surgery. So we're hopefully be ready for Europe, if not before.
And that deadline for the European quarter-final, March the 2nd, and everyone in football, I'm sure, will wish Big Terry well for a quick and a full recovery.
There's no blame attached whatever to Alex McLeish's block tackle, but the consequences for Rangers could be grave at both League and European Cup level. To make things worse, on Tuesday, Aberdeen went on to win the game with Willie Miller getting the only goal. A sad night
up in that period has rubbed off, but make no mistake, they'll be back. And seeing as we're in Edinburgh today, I don't want any rogue box put up on the M10. And we want you to give us the correct 1, 2, 3 in the right order, whichever you think are the best. And next Sunday, Andy Roxburgh, he'll pick his 1, 2, 3. If you and Andy agree, you could be a prize winner. So we're going to show our top 10. Get your pens and pencils ready and decide for yourself the top 3. Goal A is from Andy Walker against Motherwell.
Careless pass collected by Barnes. There's Andy Walker with a great chance with the header. A brilliant goal for Celtic. A deep cross. Walker coming in, flying through the air. And once again, no chance for Duncan in the Motherwell goal.
Goal B is Ali McCoy scoring for Scotland against Hungary.
Durant gets a second chance to find Ali McCoy. The chance for the second. Durant did well, making him run forward. He had 2 chances with his pass. The second was delivered instantly. Control from McCoy. Composure going past the keeper. And then the deadly finish to put Scotland into the lead by 2 goals to 0.
Goal C is from Graham Souness against Dunfermline.
There's Souness. Oh, great play from Souness. Absolutely masterly from the Rangers player manager. Controlled by Souness. He saw the opening immediately, disguised that move going forward. Appeared to be held by Robertson, stroked the ball past Westwater, and that's Rangers' ball.
Goal D is this one from Joe Miller against Celtic.
Far post ball, it finds its way to Joe Miller, a chance for the equaliser. Yes! Joe Miller has done it for Aberdeen. Gary Hackett came forward, checked well inside. Now that was a superb pass to the far side to Miller. He controlled it well. It was the power of the shot which beat McKnight, and Aberdeen have snatched the point.
Goal E, Paul Smith of Motherwell against Rangers.
Looking for space in the box as Russell takes the free kick. Kirk is a target. That's a good header. And a superb goal for Motherwell. It's Paul Smith. 17 minutes into the first half. And Motherwell take the lead.
Goal F is this one from Davy Cooper against Aberdeen.
Roberts is dictating things. That's brilliantly struck by Davy Cooper. Well, they don't come any better than this. Thundering the ball past the wall. Leighton had no chances, that thundered into the roof of the net.
Goal G is from Ian Durant, also against Aberdeen.
Nichols' header, this fleck. Durant's header to McCoy's. There's Durant, a great chance for Rangers. And that was magnificent. Header forward by Durant. He then supported McCoy. Took that neat flick, sprinted through the gap, and left Leighton with no chance at all.
Goal 8, John Cahoon of Hearts against Celtic.
And there's the opening goal from John Cahoon. Absolutely brilliant. Cahoon taking possession 30 yards out, a few steps forward, and thundering that shot into the roof of the net beyond Pat Warner.
Goal I is Gary Mackay's debut goal for Scotland against Bulgaria.
A chance there for Scotland. Can they make it 1-0? Yes! It's Gary Mackay! 1-0 to Scotland. The sheer drama here as Gary Mackay gets the congratulations of the Scottish players. And a superb goal in one. Here it is. Mackay takes it, switches to the left foot, leaves Mikhailov stranded. And what a finish this is from Scotland.
And finally, goal J is from Ian Ferguson of St Mirren against Rangers.
Move from St Mirren. Cameron again making for the byline, pulling it back. Brilliantly finished by Ferguson. 5 minutes from the end. Magnificent goal from Sidman. Superbly created and finished with stunning power and accuracy by Ian Ferguson.
There we are, the autumn goals. Goal A, Andy Walker. Goal B, Ali McCoist. Goal C, Graham Souness. Goal D, Joe Miller. Goal E, Paul Smith. F, Davy Cooper. G, Ian Durant. H, John Cahoon. I, Gary Mackay. And J, Ian Ferguson. Right, well, they were all marvellous goals, weren't they? So pick out your own favourites. Put them down in order. Goal number 1, goal number 2, and goal number 3 on a postcard, please. Not forgetting your own name and address. Then send them to us. Here's that address: Autumn Goals, Scott Sport, Scottish Television, Cowcaddens, Glasgow, G2 3PR. Right, goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, in that order, and see if your opinion is the same as Andy Roxburgh. He'll give his decision on Scott Sport next week. Just another reminder of that address, £. Second prize is £50, and the third prize, £25. And for the 7 runners-up in our top 10, there will be copies of this smashing new book, Scotland the Team. All you need to know to become a fully paid-up member.
Dundee United. Here's Jim White.
Hearts may have won in quite miraculous fashion last night, but one result stood out more than any. The 4-1 thrashing handed out to Dundee United by Falkirk at Brockville. Now, by United standards, it was nothing short of a disaster, and surely few could have predicted the club's extremely mediocre league form at the start of the season. United have played 21 matches. They've won 7, drawn 7 and lost 7. Manager Jim McLean's views on that in a moment, but it's quite clear the United boss has been trying, in vain, to strengthen his squad for some time. I can reveal that he tried to sign fullback Chris Morris from Sheffield Wednesday. In the end, Morris went to Celtic. He thought he'd secured the signature of Andy Walker and went all out to get him from Motherwell. He too, in the end, went to Celtic. And that's not all. He also tried to secure Englishman Neil Woods' signature. Woods chose Rangers and now, of course, has gone back south. More recently, he tried to tempt Colchester to sell him their striker Tony Adcock. He moved all right, but to Manchester City, where he banged in hat-tricks recently. So McLean has come to accept that persuading new or even established talent to come to Dundee United is much more difficult than some would think. Meanwhile, he pinpoints the present spate of injuries to his squad as one of the main reasons for United's slump. But very few, if any, want to go to Tannadice.
This is his biggest problem. He has over £1 million in the bank after that great run in Europe last season. He could go out and spend £500,000 on a player, but it's keeping players happy financially in terms of salary. Dundee United play in front of crowds of 7,000 on average, and they cannot match the bigger clubs in terms of salary. And that list you gave there, I can add a name to it. Jim had Tommy Craig, the Celtic assistant manager, fixed up the night before he signed for Celtic, and David Hay moved in and got him there. This is a problem. It's a provincial club. I think we expect far too much of them now. You've got to remember Dunfermline and Kilmarnock in the 60s reached great heights and disappeared off the face of the map for a long, long time. And it's a measure of Jim McLean's management. He's kept Dundee United at the top so long.
Will they come back again, do you think, Jenny?
I think they will. I'm glad to hear him say there that he's going to fight all the way, because he's been perhaps the most successful manager if you examine the whole situation. I honestly think when they got to the semi-finals of the European Champions Cup against Roma, that was as great a moment as getting to the UEFA Cup final. And when you think in terms of the players they've lost Hamish McAlpine, who was an institution at Tannadice, Richard Gough and Davy Dodge, who were winners, Derek Stark, who was a great player in Europe, Billy Kirkwood, John Holt, they've all disappeared in the last couple of seasons. And Walter Smith, the assistant manager to Rangers. What other club could take that?
What about Celtic then tonight, Jerry? They could come within a point of Hearts should they beat St Mirren. Do you expect them to do that?
I think they will. It'll be tough for them. I saw St Mirren the last 2 Saturdays. They fought back twice against Rangers, got a draw, and they took on Hearts at Tynecastle and got a draw. So a warning to Celtic, but I think the Celts will do it.
Back tomorrow with another sports roundup. There's Chairman David Holmes and Hearts Chairman Wallace Mercer tonight. Such is the huge interest in tomorrow's Rangers-Hearts clash at Ibrox, the match was this afternoon declared a total sellout. Not a seat to be had, and yet another illustration of the massive upsurge of interest in the Scottish game. Here's Jim White.
44,500 fans will pack into Ibrox tomorrow for what is a vitally important match between Hearts and Rangers. And that is how things stand right now. Rangers trail the league leaders by 7 points, and tomorrow will go all out to close the gap. Celtic's splendid run of late is reflected there too. The Parkhead men sit just 1 point behind Hearts on 32 points. Aberdeen lie third on 27. Those then are tomorrow's matches. The derby on Tayside, United versus Dundee. Dunfermline meet Aberdeen, and St Mirren play Falkirk. Now, Hearts players certainly don't need to look for any type of extra incentive prior to tomorrow's match. These are the facts. Hearts haven't beaten Rangers since Graham Souness took over at Ibrox, and in the last 3 matches between the two clubs at Ibrox, the Tynecastle men have conceded 10 goals. Coming up, the pre-match thoughts of Hearts boss Alex McDonald, but first the build-up over Ibrox way today. Wearing the appropriate winter headgear, Rangers defender Graham Roberts and the rest of his teammates ignored the cold and got on with serious training today for tomorrow's clash with Hearts. It's a match which Rangers must win to keep the league leaders from Edinburgh within their sights, and clearly Roberts himself is well aware of that.
Yeah, every game's important, Jim. You know, we had a setback our last home game against Aberdeen, so we got to put it right, and hopefully tomorrow we can put it right with a big crowd. And hopefully the lads, you know, the 2 wins away from home have put them back on the right track.
You're skipping the side at the moment, Graham. How much are you missing Terry Butcher's influence at the back?
Yeah, Terry's a great professional. He's not just on the pitch, off the pitch as well. But when he's on the pitch, he encourages everybody. And I think he's a big miss to us. But, you know, we've got to put that behind us. And we've got Richard Gough. There's not many teams that can change somebody with, you know, $1.5 million player. So I think, you know, though we will miss Terry, we're still better on. And, you know, hopefully we'll get the right result tomorrow.
So what kind of performance will it take for you to get the right result tomorrow, Graham?
It'll have to be a very, very good, high performance. You know, we've not played particularly well lately, but you know, we've got 2 good results, like I said, against Falkirk and Morton. So tomorrow we're looking to play well, and hopefully, you know, we'll get the win.
Well, we've got to look at it positively. There's no question about that. I mean, we'll go and try and get a result there. I mean, it's the only way. Go to Ibrox and Parkhead and try to defend for 90 minutes. It's not on. We'll certainly be positive tomorrow, and it is. As you say, it's not a happy hunting ground for us at all. We seem to do better when we go to Parkhead and Aberdeen.
Is there any reason, do you think, why the players find it difficult to play at Ibrox?
I don't know. It could be the atmosphere. I mean, there's always a tremendous atmosphere there. But we hope that we can change that tomorrow.
Overall, as far as the league race is concerned, how important would 2 points be on Saturday?
Well, I think the thing is, as long as we don't get beat, if we can maintain the same run that we're having, and maybe Hibs, they maybe do us a turn tomorrow against Celtic, then we'll be delighted, you know.
So the stage is set for a classic at Ibrox tomorrow. When the two sides met there in April, the day belonged to Ali McCoist.
There's a chance for Roberts. And McCoist turns it in. Rangers are in the lead. 10 minutes into the match. And the celebrations begin around the stadium.
Gary Mackay was back helping in defence. It'll be Ian Durant himself will take the corner kick. Butcher waits.
Up goes Butcher, off the post. It's McCoist. McCoist does it again. 3 minutes into the second half. And bedlam breaks out again around the stadium. McCoist's second of the afternoon.
So Henry Smith looks very calm on his goal line. Just sorting out a little bit of loose turf at the 6-yard line.
McCoist appears to be enjoying the moment. McCoist against Smith. Off the stanchion, back out of goal. A hat-trick for Ali McCoist. 16 minutes into the second half. Well, what a joy day for Ali McCoist.
Meanwhile, Celtic will try to keep the pressure on the Maroons when they go to Easter Road to face Hibs. While Celtic have had an impressive start to the season, it's been mixed fortune for Hibs. Still, one young man is keeping the Hibs fans happy with international class performances. Don Lindsay reports on a superstar in the making.
At the start of the season, John Collins was no more than a promising youngster in Alec Miller's reshaped Hibs side. Now he's established himself as one of the classiest midfield men in the Premier League, a status endorsed by Scotland coach Andy Roxburgh, who called the teenager into his squad for the European Championship match against Bulgaria. Collins is a product of the youth scheme at Easter Road and has already played for Scotland at under-21 level as well as under-19. But getting into the senior squad was both a surprise and a delight.
It came as a big surprise to me. I've just been included in under-21 squad, never expected to be in the full squad. So.
What do you think of the season so far as Hibs are concerned? Have you been happy with the way you've been playing?
Well, I've been happy with it. Yes, definitely the way I've been playing, and the team's also playing a lot better than last season. Just hope we can keep it up tomorrow.
In many ways, it's been a frustrating season for Hibs manager Alec Miller. His side have beaten Rangers, Hearts and Dundee United, drawn with Celtic and Aberdeen, but have also dropped valuable points to the 4 teams at the bottom of the league.
This season is going along the way we sort of expected it. We could have picked up some more points. We're definitely needing to strengthen the squad through injury and suspension over the Christmas and New Year period. Is going to take its toll on our squad, and we don't have a big enough squad. It's very easy to spend money, but spending it wisely, it's an important thing. And that's why we're trying to check out every possible avenue so we get the right men.
It's now a year since Alec Miller took over as boss at Easter Road. A win tomorrow would be the perfect anniversary present.
Oh, Jeremy McNee, a win for Hibs tomorrow?
I don't think so. Celtic are going well, aren't they? They've taken 13 out of 14 points in the last 7 games. That's good shooting. What they must guard against is complacency, and that's where Mr McNeil comes into play tomorrow. He must guard against that. And they know that Hibs got a very good result at Aberdeen.
What about Rangers Hearts? Briefly, Jerry, we heard the pre-match build-up from Graham Roberts there.
I'm going for Rangers, 2-0. I'll take McCoist and Fleck to get the goals.
OK. Jerry, tomorrow it's exactly the halfway stage in the league. Now, at the beginning of the season, you and I made our predictions. Now, let's have a look at your predictions first of all. There they are. Your choice: Rangers, Aberdeen, and Celtic. That would be how it would end up at the end of the day next season. At the end of the season, what do you think?
Well, Celtic, as I said, going well. It's a centenary year. They'll want to do particularly well there. But I'll stick with Rangers. I've got a squad built for marathons. This is a marathon league.
Poor old Hearts didn't figure either.
They didn't.
And they're up there at the moment.
They're up there at the moment and doing very well. But I'm sticking by Rangers, Celtic, and Aberdeen.
OK, what on earth did I say? Let's have a look. There we are, Aberdeen, Rangers and Celtic. Well, I mean, fair enough. I'm not that far away, am I?
You're not far away, but as I said, there's a long, long way to go. I think, quite honestly, the championship race starts tomorrow.
OK, Jerry, let's hope I win it. Finally, just time to remind you of that very special testimonial match planned for Parkhead on Monday. Davy Provin's testimonial match sees Celtic take on Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest. Serious illness ended Davy's brilliant career prematurely, and it's hoped football fans of every team will get along to Celtic Park to make it a night to remember.
And so say all of us. Well, that preview of the weekend sporting action takes us to a review of the day's main news headlines. Signing for the deaf.
News of the return of Kenny Dalglish to Parkhead and a world record attempt on the pool table. Here's Bill McFarlane.
First football, and the 3 biggest crowds tomorrow will gather in Dundee, Edinburgh and Glasgow. Dundee United will play host in the Tayside derby from the unusual position of trailing their neighbours by 3 league points. Hibs, lying 7th, are out to damage the title prospects of Celtic at Easter Road. And Rangers require victory over leaders Hearts at Ibrox to narrow the gap, keeping them in 4th place. The match will test the scoring ability of 2 of Scotland's best strikers, John Robertson and Ali McCoist.
Here's Cooper. No, just too much. No offside. McCoist! Kidd is picking it up. It's no offside. Everything at the moment going for Hearts. That's a good one. Choose the second. John Robertson.
Well, in Edinburgh, the other...
Indeed.
Right.
They are indeed.
But Hearts are still top of the table.
Yes.
And with us today, Sandy Jardine, Alex MacDonald from Ibrox Park. Hello, boys.
Hi, chappies.
Hello.
You all right?
You both got bad ears.
No, the thing is, we've just got the new song on for Butch. It's I Belong to Glasgow, I think. Right behind us, we can't hear anything.
Alex, tell us about the news this morning that Ray Wilkins has signed for Rangers.
Yeah, it's all we hear. And we're just saying that. I think they've got an I Belong to Glasgow here because it's very noisy in the background. But I think obviously he's a good player, a good signing for him. But I'd be surprised if he was involved right away in the Premier League because it's pretty competitive up here.
And you don't feel he'll play this afternoon?
I think he's got a chance, but I'd be surprised, really.
How do you feel about all the Englishmen coming up?
Well, we don't really mind, you know, as long as they're not too long.
Well, you're all right with Butch. You start playing across the field, so you'll have to alter your style, lads. Now, I'll tell you what's interesting down here is that not a lot of us know much about Heart of Midlothian, you know. Can you tell us a bit about some of your team, lads? Because, you know, they're top of the league. We know Celtic, we know Rangers, but Hearts are a bit of an unknown quantity. What about this lad, Mackay? Now, as I understand it, he's a bit of a player, is he not?
Yes, Gary's a very good player. He's a very good player running at people with the ball. And he scores quite a few goals. He scored, well, in his debut for Scotland last week. He did very well. And, as I say, he's a very good player indeed.
What about your front players as well? I mean, we do know that John Robertson, of course, has been knocking around for a little while. He was a very good teenage player. In fact, all the managers down here were saying the boy Robertson up at Hearts is one of the best young players. You know, tell us a little bit about him, Sandy.
Well, John's a tremendous striker of the ball in the box with both feet. He's also like Jimmy, he's very good in the air.
Oh, great.
Nasty.
Very good.
He's a tremendous finisher. You give him a chance and he'll stick them away.
Well, that's what you're looking for, obviously.
It was well illustrated there, Jimmy. You know,
he's a strong little player as well, isn't he? You know, a very strong-built player.
He eats quite a lot.
Is he?
What about John Colquhoun, then, who's scoring this one?
Yes, well, John's he scored a lot of good goals this year. He's got a good shot with his right foot, but also he's very quick. As well as scoring goals, he makes goals for the rest of the forwards, and he's played very well this year.
So what's the secret of your success up there? Because you've been going well for the last few seasons now, haven't you?
As you see there, fluky goals, Jimmy. No, actually, the players themselves have got a lot to do with it because they look after themselves and they train very hard. And we believe in the upper body stuff. The speed ball, Jimmy, sometimes you can maybe come up and have a wee shot of it.
Our days for that are well gone, don't worry about that. Now, listen, Alex.
Tell you what, I've got a book here, Score and More, the Sandy Jardine story. Now, I mean, what's going on with this? How come you're writing a book and still playing, Sandy?
Well, I've stopped playing.
You've stopped playing now, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why there ain't the last chapter in the book, then, yeah.
Well, this game today, boys, I watched your game in the Skull Cup final when they turned you over, and that, they say, was your worst performance of the season.
Well, actually, we didn't play very well that day. Rangers played very well and deserved to win that day, but we didn't get going at all, so hopefully it won't be like that today.
Sorry, Sandy, I missed that.
Hopefully it won't be like that today. I hope we play
another one you missed, Ian.
They are,
missed a few.
I'd say, are they a double act up there in Scotland these days?
They're doing very well, aren't they? I mean, let's be fair about it. But, I mean, how do you sort of rate their chances of winning the league, then?
Well, I think the Celtic, your tip for the title, going very well, obviously. My tip, Rangers. If Hearts win that one today, I think Rangers have had it.
So what do the lads think, then?
Well, we're hanging up there, Jimmy, and we certainly hope we'll be there at the end of the season.
Man, it's very hard if you don't see a lot of Scottish football to tip anybody.
Oh, well, I see quite a bit of it, son. And you are going well, and keep it going. We'll be looking for that result this afternoon.
Thanks very much.
Good luck, lads. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Well, Jim, the big match of the week wasn't the Everton-Bayern game, as you know, Wednesday night. It was a game before it. Well...
Our match of the day is one of the best of the season. Rangers against Hearts, 5 goals and lots more beside.
We meet the chairman of Hearts as Wallace Mercer takes to the airwaves.
Goals competition, Andy Roxburgh picks the winners.
Particularly fortunate since we started the present series of Scott Sport back in August to have had a long run of matches which have shown Scottish football at its very best. Games with skill, commitment, style, passion and goals. And really that's just about the right description of our match of the day this afternoon, Rangers against Hearts, which produced 5 goals and lots more talking points as well. And from London...
Video evidence of yesterday's tear explosion at Easter Road. 46 people were taken to hospital, and the football authorities are going to take urgent action to protect the game from this unexpected, and it has to be said, isolated piece of hooliganism. These were the scenes during the Hibs Celtic match after a canister of riot gas caused choking and blindness amongst a section of the 23,000 crowd. As part of football's fight against the hooligans, all Premier League grounds now have their own videos, and those are what the police are looking at this afternoon in a bid to find the offender. Meanwhile, the Scottish League, not due to meet until December the 17th, will have early talks about the problem this week. League Secretary Jim Farry said today the committee are distressed. In a football sense, we have to worry about games being stopped and players leaving the field, and the committee will want to know how this implement got into the ground. The explosion was the first setback for a few years as football battles with the hooligans, and they will redouble police initiatives to keep the Rangers and the terraces safe. Sorry, the terraces, not the Rangers' terraces, they're perfectly safe. And it should be said that if one man caused trouble, 23,000 didn't. Hibs Managing Director Jim Gray added, well, this afternoon, minutes ago in fact, Edinburgh Police made an appeal for eyewitnesses at Easter Road. They issued this number. It's 031 554 9350, 031 554 9350. That's the number you ring if you can help the police. They also added that inquiries are continuing both in Glasgow and in Edinburgh. Well, our studio guest this afternoon is Scotland's National Director of Coaching, Andy Roxburgh. He's lost 3 more players for this week's European Championship tie in Luxembourg. The Rangers trio of Ali McCoist, Ian Durant and Richard Gough, who I think I was thinking about earlier on. Ali McCoist, Ian Durant and Richard Gough, they're all out. Already, Liverpool defender Gary Gillespie, such an influential player in Bulgaria last month, is out. So too is his teammate Steve Nicol, who withdrew after the match against Spurs, you can see later in the programme. And the third Anglo, Steve Clarke of Chelsea, will also miss the game against Europe's weakest opposition in the Grand Duchy. Well, I'll be talking to Andy later. He'll also be judging this little lot, our autumn goals competition, which drew part of what's a record entry in front of me. But first, football from Ibrox, the champions against the league leaders, Rangers against Hearts. As you'll see, Hello again, and that match of driving excitement at Ibrox kept a 43,000 crowd happy in a game Rangers rather had to win to stay in the title race. But it also meant Hearts are no longer the leaders. Here's how the table looks. Celtic still top, but don't write off Hearts just yet. They've the easiest looking set of fixtures between now and the turn of the year. And in Mike Galloway, they may have made the discovery of the season. But there's no doubt in my mind who was the player of the weekend. This man. Recognise him? Well, if you live outside Dundee, maybe you don't. But then have another look at the Premier League goal scorers charts. Tommy Coyne goes joint top. The man signed for almost for pennies from Dundee United, now really making his name at Dens Park with 6 goals in the last 4 games. And Ali McCoist now has a battle on his hands in that personal race. Right, Scotland takes over this week, going to Luxembourg, where surely it will be a case of not how, but how many. There is some incentive for Andy Roxburgh's side if you look at this group table. 5 goal winners needed to overtake Bulgaria and end up second in the section, a point behind the Republic of Ireland, and that would be no mean achievement, but a case, I suppose, of so near and yet so far. Andy, the news which you brought in minutes before the programme that the Rangers trio are missing for the second time running, is that a big blow to your plans?
Yes, obviously, but it's one of those things, you just get on with it. We brought in David McPherson from Hearts, and later on tonight we'll see who else turns up.
You've still got 1 or 2 other irons in the fire?
Well, 1 or 2 we'll still have to see tonight.
You see, some people would say Luxembourg, which we can see conceding some goals against Belgium and Nico Klaasen's, really aren't much of a side to beat, but coaches tend not to look at it that way.
No, well, the particular match that you're showing was actually a freak result. When they played in that particular match, I think they ended up 6-0. But recently they've been doing rather well, Luxembourg, for them. You know, they've scored in the last 2 games. They were unlucky to lose in Ireland, 2-1. And as I say, they've been developing. We'll have to really work to get a result in the match over there. We know that. We won't get it for nothing.
Yeah, because you've had a good season, unbeaten so far, with a lot of chopping and changing, which all Scotland bosses seem to have that problem. How frustrating has it been?
No, I don't view it as... I mean, I just simply look at it as a positive challenge. We pick the best squad we can. We then see who turns up, and then we go on with it. We're very fortunate in that we have some terrific lads around us, ones with marvellous attitudes. And we do our very best.
What do you look for to take out of this last European Championship match, which we've made a bit of a recovery in the group after really being out of it? What do you look for with the World Cup coming up? Who will you be looking to do a turn?
Well, obviously we want to win the game so that we can win 4 in a row, and it means we put pressure on the other teams when the World Cup draw is made. The other thing, of course, is that it's another cap for the players. They view that as a prize, and they'll be desperate to prove that they're good enough to stay in the squad. So there's a lot of incentives there for us on Wednesday, and the main point is we represent the country.
Good. Andy, the very best of luck. Stay with us because we can move on to our autumn goals competition. Thanks for agreeing to judge, and there we are, son of a massive entry. As you can see, it really was a record entry, thousands upon thousands of replies. Thanks also to David Adams and his staff in the mail room here at Scottish Television who coped with it all one way and the other. We picked 10 autumn goals and asked you to place them in order of merit, 1, 2, 3. A quick reminder of who those goal scorers were. Goal A, Andy Walker. Goal B, Ali McCoist. Goal C, Graham Souness. Goal D, Joe Miller. Goal E, Paul Smith. Goal F, Davy Cooper. G, Ian Durant. Goal H, John Cahoon. Goal I, Gary Mackay. Goal J, Ian Ferguson. Andy, you picked third place, Gary Mackay's goal in Bulgaria.
Yes, I picked this one under the category of scoring under pressure. Gary was faced with 3 against 1, and he had the presence of mind to change feet and then whack the ball past the Bulgarian goalkeeper. So that's the reason I picked that one in third place. Obviously, I was slightly emotionally involved as well in that particular one.
Right.
So I have to be forgiven for taking that one in third place.
As well. And in second place, it was Ian Durant's Skull Cup goal against Aberdeen.
I picked this one because of the build-up. This was the best build-up of all the goals. A magnificent layoff and turn by Ali McCoist, and then Ian Durant going right through there. It was a bit like a sharp knife going through soft cheese. And remember the quality of defenders that he's playing against there. There's McLeish and Miller and Leighton. And it really was a magnificent goal.
And goal number 1, John Cahoon of Hearts against Celtic.
Well, I really could have picked any one of 3 goals here. It could have been Paul Smith, Davy Cooper or John Cahoon. It really was a toss-up, and they were all spectacular. I took John Cahoon simply because I have a preference for shots on the run from the distance.
Andy, very many thanks for judging that. So the number 1 goal was H, and the winning line we were looking for was this, HGI. And of course, out of this mountain of mail, we had a lot of correct replies. We've drawn our 7 runners-up who will receive copies of this new book, Scotland the Team, and we've also drawn the top 3 winners. Third, and a prize of £25, goes to Karen Henderson of 127 Shield Hall Road, Drummoyne, here in Glasgow. Second, and a prize of £50 goes to Mrs. I. Philp of 246 Canongate, Edinburgh. And the first prize, and £100, goes to Mrs. Catherine McSporran of One More Drive, Bearsden. Congratulations to all of them. Notice one thing about those women, those winners, they're all ladies. Maybe they were filling in their fellows' forms. Just a reminder of 2 matches coming up which deserve your support. Tomorrow at Parkhead, Davy Proven's testimonial, Celtic against Nottingham Forest. And next Sunday, Dundee against a Premier League side for Jim Duffy. Both games for super players forced to quit the game at their peak. Do go along to one or the other, maybe both. And Andy, very many thanks for joining in the fun.
Thank you very much.